there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Regina, and in this video I have a lot of different garden chores to take care of this morning, and I was going to bring you guys along. I have some planting to do, I have some pest management to do, and also some harvesting to do, so that you guys kind of get an idea of what it looks like to just kind of manage a garden on an ongoing basis if you don't already have one. And if you do already have one, you get to see the things that are happening in the garden. And yeah, and hopefully there's some tips I could share that are going to be helpful to you. Before we get into the content, guys, go ahead and like this video. As soon as you get to that point where you're like, you know what, I like this, I'm enjoying this, click that like button. And for more gardening content from me, then subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a video. So I'll be doing some tripod, some handheld in this video, so I hope it's not too shaky. It is 9:50 in the morning and it is already hot. I hope my camera can take it. If not, I might switch and start recording on my phone if my camera overheats. We'll see how it goes. So the first task on my list is to plant a few beans. So in this area where I had corn, I have one or two more I gotta pull out, or two more I have to pull out. I am planting a few garden beans. They're called Cherokee Wax Yellow Bush. I was at Dollar Tree and I saw these seeds, and I have this little open space. I might plant something here for fall, but for now, I'm gonna plant these bush beans. I don't know how well they do, but this section does get a little bit of shade from the tomato plants, and from the other beds, so they might do okay. But I figured I'd give it a try. I've never grown wax beans before. I don't even know what they taste like. But I'm gonna drop some seeds in the ground because why not, right? And because I'm planting beans, legumes, I'll definitely be using this soil inoculant to help the beans fix nitrogen in the soil. So next up, we're gonna harvest some tomatoes. And you probably hear the water running. I have the hose going to water this area while I'm out here. I usually water some in the morning, some in the evening, some of the beds in the morning, some in the evening, depending on what I watered the day before, so that I keep every bed watered at least every other day. So I just have that running while I'm out here picking. essentially have tomatoes to pick. I could pick them every day, but I pick them about every other day. All these cherry tomatoes. These yellow pear tomatoes, even though they're disrespectful with their growth habit, are very prolific. And remember, you can harvest tomatoes as soon as they start to show color and let them ripen indoors if you're dealing with pest pressure, because that won't impact the flavor. So that's quite a bit of tomatoes that I've harvested, cherry tomatoes. So now, cherry and yellow pear. Now, next up, I need to water these containers and then treat my squash with some BT. Okay. So next up, I gotta water containers. They're everywhere. My containers are everywhere because my husband moved them to get in here with the weed whacker. And I told him he didn't need to put them back because I'm going to put down some landscape fabric this evening, to cover this area, maybe some cardboard first and some landscape fabric to cover this area so that I don't have to worry about weed whacking it anymore. I want to eventually do that everywhere and put down some like pebbles or stones, paver, something, because it's kind of really, really hard to keep up with this grass out here. But I'm going to go ahead and do that for the container area first because that kind of gets the worst of it. So that's why they're all just moved around. So right now I'm going to water everything first, and then I'm going to treat the squash with some BT and then neem oil for the leaves for the powdery mildew. And actually, no, I'm not going to treat it with neem oil for the leaves. I'll do that in the evening because neem oil is not good to put out right in the big bright sun. So I'm just going to go ahead and water and then treat it with the BT to help with the squash vine borers. Because so far I actually have 2 squash to harvest. So far so good, but this one looks really sad. So let me get it watered. This squash plant, I actually need to harvest a couple of squash. Well, I guess one squash. Look at that. Now, before I water the rest of the containers, I need to go ahead and I want to grab these ground cherries because I'm sure I have some here that need to be harvested, and I'd rather do that before I get them wet. ahead and spray these with BT. I do this like every other day. I can see that the vine borers have been here. I see some little markings on the trunk of this plant. So I'm just trying to extend its life and maybe kill some of them. But who knows if it will work. Okay, that's done. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating something crazy. But next up, I'm gonna finish watering the containers. I need to harvest some cucumbers, some yard-long cucumbers. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Then I have this one as well. I'm going to go ahead and harvest. Take a nice S shape. So generally in the morning, there are so many bees out here, y'all. But also cucumber beetles, because I have like twin message. So I like to kill them. Sometimes I just smash them with my hand. And make sure I didn't miss any cucumbers, because sometimes they're hiding. Not quite ready yet. So the Armenian cucumbers, the flavor of them is different. They're not as like, I don't know how to describe it, like as wet as regular cucumbers, but they do seem to really like this heat and they're very productive. I'm definitely getting more from them than I'm getting from my other cucumbers. So definitely grow those again, because I still always want that cucumber flavor in the summer. So next up on my task list here is okra. I should be picking this every day, and I didn't get to it yesterday, so hopefully these aren't too big. Whoa. Not sure if my camera is accurately picking this up, but there are so many bees buzzing around this okra. Love to see it. So the next thing I need to do is get the water hose and just let it sit in here to water the okra while I'm doing a few other things. So now I'm going to grab one of these peppers. These are the cutest, sweetest little lunchbox peppers. They are really incredibly sweet that you can just eat them plain. I like to eat them in salads, or sometimes I just chop it up and eat it. So I have not been giving my raspberry bushes any attention, so I need to get in here and see what needs to be picked or clipped off. Not sure if this purple color is the color they're supposed to be, if those are overripe. Just went ahead and snipped off the end. Alright, so I also have some yard-long beans to harvest. Pick these when they're about the width of a pencil. Okay, here's my other bed of yard-long beans. I do have a few to harvest here too. I actually have not harvested any of my regular pole beans that are growing against my fence. I think it's just way too hot for them, but that's fine. They can grow, and then hopefully I can get a crop as it cools down for fall. We'll see how it goes. But that's why it's really nice to have variety in your garden, because some things are gonna produce and then some things aren't gonna do as well. So you can have kind of a mixture of things that may produce at different times under different circumstances. These are the green ones, or asparagus beans. That one I let go a little too long, but it'll be okay. All right, I wasn't planning on doing just harvesting, but it's kind of what it's turning into, right? Let's go ahead and get these. I have Roma tomatoes here, and they are producing insane. Once they start, so I also have some peppers in here I need to harvest. Look, see that one? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab these orange ones while I'm in here. Oops, dropped it. All right, so last task I'm gonna do before I go inside is pick these peas, because I've been needing to, and so I want to go ahead and get that done, and then I am going in. It's too hot. right, so finished the harvest. It was so hot outside, I couldn't even stand to be out there long enough to record the ending of the video. And I still have stuff to do. I did finish watering the containers before I came in here. I did that real quick because they just need the water every day or they dry out so quickly. But everything else I need to do, like I need to water the pepper bed, make sure I get the cucumbers and watermelons really good, get the trees, the trees in the orchard area, and then as well as my tomatoes, especially the Roma bed, because it's just producing so much fruit right now. But I'll get that this evening because I just am not going to be out there any longer. It's just too hot. But I was out there about an hour. So I usually beat myself up because I never make time in the summer to get out and ride my bike, which is my exercise method of choice. But that's because in the mornings and the evenings I'm in the garden, and those are the prime times to ride. But I checked my Fitbit and I had 50 zone minutes from being out there. So my heart rate got up enough to count as exercise. Probably because I was trying to move so quickly to get out of there before it got too hot. But harvested quite a bit, quite a few goodies. This basket is actually quite heavy. You can see that is a lot of food. And so I am going to get this stuff washed and weighed, and then I'll just set the tomatoes on the counter. I do have, on my Romas, definitely have some blossom end rot on some of them, not most of them. I would say maybe about 1 in 10 has a little bit of blossom end rot. And I think that is due to the fact that it just heated up so fast this year. We didn't get a spring. Last year we got a ton of rain in April, and then it warmed up gradually. This year, it just, all of a sudden we were getting 90 and 100-degree days. And so I don't think I adjusted my watering in that early phase well enough, because I was doing like every 3 days or so on my tomatoes. But I think with the way that we warmed up, that just wasn't enough for those young plants. And so some of the fruit, and it's usually like I'll have like a cluster with like 4 fruit, and then 2 of them might have blossom and rot together, and then most of the rest of them will be fine. So not a big deal, but it's definitely something I'll pay attention to a little better next year to make sure that I am watering them enough if it heats up really quickly. But they'll ripen just fine, and then I'll just cut off the blossom end where it has that part, and the rest of the tomato is okay. Now the Romas, I do pick them when they are, as soon as I start to see a blush of color, and I do that with most of my tomatoes, but the Romas especially because they're setting so much fruit. They have so much fruit on them right now, and so it takes a lot of energy for while they're on there ripening on the plant. That's energy away from the plant, kind of, sort of. And not to mention, that's a lot of pest pressure. I have plenty of, as you may have seen out there, cucumber beetles. I'm sure there's some squash bugs out there. There are definitely grasshoppers. So there are insects out there. And so the longer I leave them out there, the more likely they are for something to attack them. So I just get them in as soon as I can. And with tomatoes, you kind of have that luxury because they don't receive nutrition from the plant once they start ripening. They actually seal off right there. So that means that the fruit, like you're not gonna lose any flavor by ripening them off the plant. So I pull those and I'll just let them ripen on the counter, and then I'll either drop these in the freezer whole to use later, or I'll turn them into paste, and some of them I'll dehydrate, or I may make a fresh sauce this season to just eat fresh, but mostly because I do like to eat some of the tomatoes fresh. And of course, these orangey sweet peppers, look how beautiful that is. But I'm not gonna go through this whole basket. You were there when I harvested it. But this is what it looks like, especially when the tomatoes are producing. I'm getting about this much food about every other day out of my garden. It is a lot of work because I have to make sure I preserve it all, because there's no point in growing things and then wasting them. But it is a lot of fun. And then I like to plan, some of my dishes, the food that I cook around what we've harvested. All right, so thank you again for watching. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I didn't mean for it to turn into a full harvest video. It was gonna be more garden chores, and then I remembered that the neem oil actually needs to go on in the evening because I need to use that on my squash plants. I'm also gonna use a little neem oil on my tomatoes. I need to prune them. I'm getting some discoloration on the leaves, which happens with tomatoes, and then I'm gonna go through and spray them down really good with the neem oil to help with if there's any fungus that is causing it. Sometimes I'll have a few spider mites, who knows, but usually that happens and the tomatoes still produce fine throughout the season on the indeterminate ones. The determinate ones I don't really worry about. I just keep them watered, and then once they're done producing, I'm going to pull them out and replace them. So I don't really have to worry about disease or anything on those. I also still have to pick strawberries. I didn't get to that. I have quite a few of those out there that I need to take care of. So I'll get to the strawberries this evening as well. But thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope that you found the content enjoyable, helpful, I don't know, maybe inspirational, because look at all this food. Doesn't that make you want to grow a garden, right? And remember, I just have a regular backyard. Like, I live in a subdivision in North Texas. We even have a pool back there, so I don't even have the whole yard for space. But you can make it happen with whatever space you have, whether you have to do containers, you can do raised beds, you can plant directly into the ground. But it's definitely something that is really fun to do. You get a lot of healthy food for your family. And if you plan it right, you can also cut back on your grocery bill, because there will be a lot of things that you can eat from the garden that you conversely don't end up having to buy. But if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and click that like button. And of course, if you're looking for more gardening content from me, then subscribe to my channel and click that bell notification so that you never miss an upload. And of course, if you want to leave a comment, do that below. I love reading them and responding to them. So let me know what you think or what you're growing. And until we meet again, have a great one.